us celebrate St. Columba, for the light of Christ has come upon us. Today we celebrate the Feast of Epiphany, the manifestation of Jesus, not just for one group of people, but the manifestation of Jesus for the whole world. Our God is a God who is inclusive. Amen. Our God is a God for all people, for the whole world. Amen. And it struck me yesterday when I was preaching at the 4 o'clock Mass to really take a good look at the creche. So I'm going to invite you to do that. Take a good look at the creche here. First of all, the message of Jesus came first to the lowly, to the shepherds. So we have the shepherds representing everybody who is on the margins. We have Mary and Joseph, who are soon to be refugees, who had come as kind of like as immigrants to register. We have the Magi. They were not from the Jewish community. We don't know if they were kings or astrologers, but we have them representing all of the world coming to pay homage. And we have the angels, even the celestial beings and hosts. This is a reminder to us when you look at the creche. Think of all of those people, and even the animals that were there, all of the earth. Our God is a God that is inclusive. Our God is a God for all people. Amen. Let us celebrate that. Otherwise, we'd be on the outside looking in. Some people think that the Christmas season has ended, especially the commercial part. You know, the half price on all of the, there are some of us that buy our stuff for next Christmas now because everything's on half price. And yet in reality, Epiphany is saying to us, church, Christmas has just begun. You and I are called to manifest the presence of Jesus in our world. You and I are called to bring the Christ to whatever our world is, our family, our friends, our homes, our workplace, people we meet in the grocery store. You know how those casual conversations happen in the grocery store? Our God is depending on us and asking us and inviting us to be the epiphany that our world needs. And so we're invited to claim that promise. Claim the promises of God. The light of Christ shines on you. The light of Christ shines in you. The light of Christ shines through you. And that is the invitation that we have. And I was thinking, what are some of the ways at St. Columba we do that? Some of the more public ways. The people who serve the winter shelter dinners and cook the food for the winter shelter dinners at St. Mary's are bringing the light of Christ. They are using their gifts for other people. Paul tells us that he's been given his grace and gifts not for himself, but to be used for other people. When we stop and talk to the homeless, or when we're driving away from church and we give the homeless person on the corner the dollar bills that we have, we stop and ask them their name. In fact, there are a couple of the regulars that aren't there anymore, and we've been praying for them because we don't know what's happened to them. Because God has called us to use our gifts for others. Yeah. And it can be something simple. It can just be yourself. Be the follower of Jesus and allow the kindness and compassion to come into the world. And for the children here, you can use your gift for others when you see that child on the playground that people are ignoring or not playing with, and you show them kindness. Then you're using your gift of grace for other people. You and I are called, by shining our light, to be the presence of hope for people in the midst of darkness. Now, you don't have to read the newspaper or listen to the news to know that there is darkness. And yet Jesus has said, I have the victory over darkness. And we need to hold on to that promise, and we need to live out that promise so that the Christ of light that shines on you, the Christ of light that shines in you, will also shine through you into our world. Our gospel story was a story of the Magi. And again, we don't know if they were kings or astrologers. So what do we know about them? We knew they saw a star. We knew that they knew someone very important was going to be born. Someone who would change the world. And so they followed that star. We don't know if they began out together or they bumped to each other along the way. But they left everything behind. They left the familiar to follow the star and to listen to what the angels had to say to them. St. Columba, you've had stars come into your life. Think of the people in your life who have led you and you followed their mentorship or you followed their guidance. You've had a star. You've had angels come into your life who have shown you the way, especially when we get off the way a little bit and the angels lead us back on the path. Wonderful gifts of God that God has given you. And now God is asking you to do the same. God is asking you to be the star. God is asking you to be the angel. And so there are a couple of challenges we have. My mouth is really dry this morning, excuse me. I have my manna assistant here. Are we willing, church, to be that star and to be that angel? Are we willing to give our gifts to God and use them for other people? To put other people before ourselves when we see their need? Are we willing to allow God to guide us on a path? What path has God asked you to use? What familiar thing is God asking you to let go of because God has a greater light to shine in you and to shine through you? Our light shines in all of our relationships. Some people were related to by family. Some people were related to a casual bump in and then that person becomes a friend. Some people were related, that light shines in a relationship that's just by chance. It's just, you know, they just happen into your life. And some people seek us out because they sense something in us that's different than the world. Sometimes the light of Christ that's in us walks in the door before we get there. And we are asked to let our light shine through us for those people. Sometimes the Jesus that somebody gets to know isn't going to be learned in a church. The Jesus that someone gets to know is going to be learned by you, by your compassion, by your love, by your generosity, and by your kindness, because you are using your gifts for others. St. Columba, we are daughters and sons of our God. We have our very own star to shine. We have our very own individual way to influence. And church, we have our very own way of incarnating the holy. Wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same? But God uses us as we are to incarnate God's presence. And God then asks us to use that presence to draw others to him. So today, let us be like the Magi. Let us be seekers of the divine, as the Magi were. Let us be willing to give our gifts to God and use them from others, as the Magi did. Let us be willing to follow the star God has given us, to follow the path, to listen to the messages of God's angels, to bring God's light and love wherever we go. For God is depending on us, church, to do that. May every moment of every day be epiphany. May every moment of every day, through us, be the manifestation of God's presence, God's ability to have victory over the darkness, God's light of love and compassion. Amen. Amen.